Hello, my name is Jador Teasley, and today I will be discussing on the topic of freedom of speech in schools. The origin of freedom of speech in schools. On December 16th, 1965, students Mary Beth Tinker and her brother John Tinker, along with a few other students, wore black armbands to protest the war in Vietnam. The students were suspended, and this case, Tinker versus Des Moines, is known to be the first example of students shedding their right of freedom of speech in schools. This figure above shows Mary Beth Tinker and her brother John Tinker. What public schools allow in freedom of speech? They allow wearing expressive clothing and or accessories, speaking out or protesting peacefully, handing out flyers, and petitioning. All examples cannot be disruptive to other students because it inhibits their learning environment, which can also be a good way for schools to win a case against you for the First Amendment right, such as dress code. 57 or 9 out of students agree with freedom of speech or the First Amendment. Most students would prefer to speak up and would not favor censorship. According to AEI.org, 50% of students strongly agree with the statement, people should be allowed to express unpopular opinions in school. However, there is a problem. The problem being that although most students want to express their opinions without persecution by the administration or the school, there are more factors in freedom of speech in schools besides simple dress code. One of the reasons is that if a school has reason to believe something is inappropriate, then the school can censor material deemed such. This rule especially applies to school publications or newsletters. So basically, schools can control whether or not what can be seen in schools. So yeah. One of the second reasons is if your freedom of speech and or expression collides with other students' learning and or more seriously their religious beliefs, then the school can make a great case against you because public schools are for everyone and anyone. So your opinions can be deemed disrespectful to those who are going to school just to learn, as school was intended to. The third and final reason is even though most schools are not likely to win a case of off-campus speech, because it is off-campus, of course, there are some instances where it is acceptable, such as giving out a test, because that would obviously not be good for the teachers in this case, which it would also be rightfully justified in that sense by the court of law. Organizations that support freedom of speech. The American Civil Liberties Union, or the ACLU, is a nonprofit organization that helps students recognize their First Amendment right and protects that right in a court setting. Another organization is the National Coalition Against Censorship, or the NCAC, which promotes freedom of speech in schools and protects students against unfair censorship. They also have several youth programs to keep promoting this cause, such as open discussion projects. Another organization is Columbia Global Freedom of Expression, which centers around encouraging research and policy proposals for freedom of speech in schools. The program also aims at organizing numerous free speech events. And the last organization is the Foundation of Individual Rights in Education, or FIRE. They spread awareness of the importance of using freedom of speech in schools and aids in civil cases too. The FIRE Student Network is a resource for students on campus to talk about freedom of speech issues milling on campus. And personally, one of these organizations that I would choose is the first one, ACLU, because they also assisted in the Mary Beth Tinker case, which is pretty nice. But what can you do? A call to action you can do today, or when applicable, can include joining a freedom of speech/expression club at school. You could also make a petition on the importance of freedom of speech in schools. You can also create a small web page on the First Amendment issues, which also helps too. Participate in expression programs to spread the word in America or even globally. Here are my works cited. And thank you. I really enjoyed ethnic studies. This class was very enjoyable, I'll say. And yeah, I feel like I learned some things that I honestly never knew. And it awakened something more curious in myself. I'm pretty curious about these type of topics. So yeah, this grew and fostered another part of myself. Just thought I'd say that. Thank you.